This YouTube video is to present to you the development of a child-centered research checklist. The research personnel developed this to improve the design and reporting of pediatric research studies. This involved a descriptive mixed method study. The personnel involved within this research included myself, Associate Professor Mandie Foster, Professor Lisa Whitehead, Associate Professor Therese O'Sullivan, Julie Hill, and Professor Everlot Maurelius. This included 3 universities, being Edith Cowan University, Perth, Australia, Leconpoc University in Sweden, and Auckland University of Technology, Auckland, New Zealand. As you can imagine, developing a child-centered research checklist from the age of 0 through to 18 years of age is very challenging, but also vitally important. It is well referenced in the literature the value of including children's voices into policy, practice, service delivery, education, and research. However, it is not well reported in the literature how these research activities are undertaken, and more importantly, how they are reported. It is absolutely vital that the human dignity of children, their rights and well-being are honoured and respected in all research activities, regardless of research context or discipline. Currently, there is no collectively agreed upon child-centered research checklist available to enhance and guide research methods and reporting for research activities undertaken with children. Equator has or hosts numerous research checklists such as the Strobe, Prisma flowchart, COREC, just as a few examples, and these act as a tool to generate critical thinking, engagement, reflective dialogue, and engagement in contemporary research practices. A child-centered research checklist should not be a prescriptive checklist, but act as a tool to generate critical thinking, reflexive dialogue, and engagement in contemporary research practices with children across multiple sectors and multiple disciplines. We aimed to develop an internationally relevant, expert-informed, child-centered research checklist that could be used to guide best practices in pediatric research and allow transparent reporting. Of interest, there was a review undertaken by Rapicki and Dalton in 2025 of the various different reporting standards that were published in journals. This was published in the Early Child Education Journal in 2025. Here, the child-centered research checklist was included within their review. Rapicki and Dalton state that whether a study is quantitative or qualitative, child research participants may need special consideration compared to adult research participants. This checklist includes elements to aid researchers in reporting the degree to which their study was adapted for pediatric participants. The checklist addresses informed consent, dissent, code of conduct, and child-focused methods. The authors then go on to state that the critique underscores, being the critique of all of these various different reporting tools, the importance of structured reporting standards in ensuring clarity, rigor, and reproducibility in research. Using reporting guidelines can help researchers to structure their work according to field conventions, potentially enhancing the transparency of their work. Adherence to reporting standards can also increase the quality of research reporting for future systematic reviews and meta-analyses. Additionally, peer reviewers can use reporting standards to evaluate whether expected information is present or missing in manuscripts. The development of the child-centered research checklist, being a descriptive mixed method study, was undertaken through 5 sequential phases from January 2020 through to November 2022. Each phase directed the next phase. Phase 1 was a literature review and analyses undertaken in January 2020 that included grey literature and empirical research published in journals from 2015 through to 2020. This then informed Phase 2, which was the development of a questionnaire to gain expert input into items This included a 10-item open-ended questionnaire that was sent out to 32 paediatric experts internationally. Phase 3 was then the creation of the initial draft of the child-centered research checklist that was based on the responses from 14 international paediatric research experts from Phase 2. Phase 4 was the evolution of the child-centered research checklist through a 3-round Delphi study. This was undertaken from August 2020 through to February 2021. Phase 5 was the development of the final child-centered research checklist based on the responses and the 3 rounds of the Delphi study in Phase 4. This then generated an 11-item child-centered research checklist that also had 17 exemplars and how those items could be honoured. I'll be going through each phase in more detail in the next slides. The results of our phases, phase 1, 2 and 3 are presented on this slide. So phase 1, the search that we undertook from 2015 to 2020, we got 3,718 hits, as of which 160 articles met the inclusion for the literature review. This database search was updated from 2015 to 2024 prior publication, and we found that there had been no child health research checklist published. Phase 2, from an analysis of the literature review, we were able to come up with 3 main themes. This was respect, benefits, and justice. These informed the development of a 10-item open-ended questionnaire that experts in the field of child research could complete on how research activities with children across the 4 age brackets, that was from 0 to 1 years of age, 2 to 4 years of age, 5 to 10 years of age, and greater than 11 years, could incorporate these concepts into their research. Phase 3, we got responses from 14 participants across 10 countries in regards to the questionnaire that we sent out that was developed from Phase 2. We still had the themes, respect, benefits and justice, and you can see there on the slide the findings that were generated from those themes. We further synthesised these themes into 3 new themes, being informed consent, assent and dissent, code of conduct, and child-focused methods. This included 10 sub-themes and 29 categories. We then reduced all of these statements across the age brackets from 0 to 1, 2 to 4, 5 to 10 and 11 years of age, and we were able to come up with 205 generic statements and 76 exemplars. You can see on this slide the results from Phase 3. This was our analysis of the responses from the 14 international child research experts across multiple disciplines. So we generated 1,029 findings under the 3 themes, respect, benefits and justice. We deleted 123 duplicate findings and ended up with 906 findings under those 3 themes. In synthesis round 1, we were able to then resynthesize the data to incorporate 3 new themes, which was informed consent, assent and dissent, code of conduct and child-focused methods. In synthesis round 2, we were able to reduce the findings to become statements and exemplars. So an exemplar would be how a researcher would be able to honour that particular statement, and that was under the 3 themes. So for informed consent, assent and dissent, we had 31 statements, 46 exemplars. For code of conduct, we had 100 statements and 8 exemplars. For child-focused methods, we had 74 statements and 22 exemplars. For synthesis round 3, we then synthesize the statements and exemplars for the 4 age brackets. That was 0 to 1 years of age, 2 to 4 years of age, 5 to 10 years of age, and 11 plus years of age under those 3 themes. Here you can see the demographical characteristics of the child expert researchers who responded to Phase 3. The majority of participants were from Sweden. and then running up was Australia. You can see that the years of research experience was vast. So the mean was 15.8 plus or minus 8.9, and the research range was from 8 years to 35 years. Phase 4 was the 3-round Delphi study that we sent out to international research experts across numerous countries. So you can see from Delphi round 1, we had 56 participants across 15 countries. The most respondents were from Australia. Second up was Sweden, and then there was the United States of America and Ireland. For Delphi Round 2, it included 61 participants across 18 countries. Once again, Australia had the highest participation rate. Then came Sweden, then I think Ireland, and then the United States of America. For the Delphi Round 3, we had 41 participants that responded across 13 countries, with Australia having the highest response rate, and then Sweden. Slide presents the results from phase 4, being the 3-round Delphi study, and phase 5, which was the generation and development of the final child-centered research checklist. So from round 1 of the Delphi study, we were able to reduce the statements to 75 with 32 exemplars for 2 age brackets being 0 to 4 years of age and 5 to 18 years of age under the same themes: informed consent, assent and dissent, code of conduct and child-focused methods. Round 2, Delphi. The analysis from round 2 resulted in the child-centered research checklist being reduced to 26 statements with 20 exemplars for 1 age bracket being 0 to 18 years under the similar themes. For round 3, the child-centered research checklist was reduced to 11 statements with 17 exemplars for the consolidated age bracket of 0 to 18 years under the same themes. The final child-centered research checklist included 11 statements and 24 exemplars represented under the same themes for children aged between 0 to 18 years. It is important to state here that for a statement to move through from round 1, 2, and then 3, that the statement had to have a threshold score of 80% or above on a level of importance to be included into the next round. The Child-Centered Research Checklist is now published in the International Journal of Nursing Studies. Please see the link with the DOI to this open access manuscript. It has also been published in Equator and is there for researchers, supervisors, ethics committee and organisations to use in regards to an adjunct with another tool or on its own as ethical reporting guideline and undertaking research activities with children. Applications for research and practice. Research and student supervisors can utilise the tool as a framework in the design of research studies to ensure important aspects have been considered and included. Journal editors can include this as a requirement for authors to submit their completed manuscripts for transparent reporting of child research activities. Organisations can use the tool to be completed in the planning and development of quality improvement projects. Ethics committees can use the child-centered research checklist or request this to be submitted with their research proposal for peer review. Child-centered research checklist is the first international expert-informed tool to support good quality and transparent research for children aged between 0 to 18 years of age. It is also generated from a mixed method study undertaken across 5 sequential phases that includes 172 child research experts across 11 disciplines from 19 countries. The approach that we undertook to develop the child-centered research checklist was credible and can be used as an adjunct with ethics reviews and other study checklists to evaluate how research activities undertaken with children have honoured good research practice from a child-centric perspective. The final 11-item child-centered research checklist is registered on the Equator Network as a reporting guideline and will be modified after phase 2, being a consumer engagement study. The checklist is also being assessed through Elsevier in regards to being a mandated tool for manuscripts that are submitted where children are participants. It has also been translated in Turkey.